We have seen over the course of 14 games, 16 teams compete in the preseason tournament. We've seen upsets, we've seen miracle runs, but in the end, the top two seeds come home to roost. Welcome to the finals of our preseason tournament here at Quicksilver Rocket League Series. I'm Drakpak. I'm joined by Kip Taro. Kip, these two teams, the number one seed Hammerheads, led by Joe Papa, versus the number two seeded Rangers, led by Waffles, has split the community 50-50 on who they think is going to win. What do you see? What's your take?
It definitely should be an interesting matchup going into the preseason tournament. People saw these two teams, thought they would be good, and here we are in the finals seeing this matchup. The interesting thing about these teams is they have pretty similar team compositions a bit. They both got that 250 area between Norm and Niner as your kind of carry for the team. But Hammerheads and Rangers, while they have that carry, they certainly are not having to do all the load. They got teammates helping them out, put in work. We've seen Longneck and Joe Papa on the side of Hammerheads do great all this preseason tournament, as well as Waffles and Artemis and Rebel. All of them do their part. It's not a one man effort by any means. And it's good to see these teams finally match up.
Yeah, exactly. When we had Hammerheads and we had Norm in the booth, he just went on and on about how Niner is his player of the tournament, doing incredibly well. And it's nice to see a little bit of a match of the team comp. I mean, I think with it's OS and Longneck kind of being a little bit higher rated than the middle of Rangers, highest being 180 with Waffles, and is both Longneck and It's OS are at the 210 level. I think you're gonna see a little bit more needing to come out of Niner, but anybody in this lobby is capable of taking over a game. Even Joe Papa, capable of making plays, being there, being in the right spot when needed to capitalize on goals. So I think it's just really going to come down to, in this best of seven matchup, who makes the fewer mistakes, who's the more consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. Teams are going to want to make sure they're minimizing those mistakes because, I mean, it's the finals, you know? Sometimes the pressure gets to you, and we'll see if that gets to one team, if the other team's able to capitalize it, thrive in the environment a bit more than the other team. So it'll be interesting to see. We did have Hammerheads make the finals of the last season, so they might have that kind of experience, at least with Joe Papa returning from the roster. But it'll be interesting to see, and we've talked a lot about Norm and Niner kind of as your two heavy guys. And when you watch these guys play, you definitely notice them on offense. So it'll be interesting to see how they're able to neutralize kind of each other on defense, and if one's able to do that better than the other, because they should be able to read each other's play styles a bit. They're used to it. They kind of know what you're thinking up at that level. But if you're able to stop it, I think that's going to be the real key difference here.
Exactly. And just making sure that Joe Papa doesn't see ghosts from the postseason final and underperform as a result. Hammerhead's looking to not make it two in a row of finals that they've lost, losing the postseason tournament to Sappers, and Rangers looking to continue the win streak of the Epic Division. But I think we've been kind of beating around the bush here a little bit. In the discussion chat in the Discord server, we're got a 2-2 split. Alex and Reserve are saying Rangers are gonna win. And ZDL Pinky and Panda's got the Hammerheads. Looking in the poll, we've got 16K on Rangers, 5K on Hammerheads. Kip, who do you got winning?
That is a tough question. I think both these teams are right there and both have the potential to win it. I think it's gonna come down to who's ever on it for the day. The thing oh, it'll I think it'll be interesting because 'cause we've seen Rangers have some substitutes across this kind of preseason tournament that teams kinda do because it's the preseason tournament. It's time to experience and kind of just figure out what you wanna do and figure out rosters and make changes. But now that you're in the finals, you wonder if they're not really gonna take those risks, not try to experiment too much, and maybe stick with whatever solid rosters they think we'll have. But I think overall, between the 2 teams, I think I think this could go either way, but I think have to go the side of Hammerheads. I think it'll be a close series, honestly. I think it'll be maybe a 4-3, maybe 4-2. I know Niner can always ball out and take over the game, so he could prove me wrong this series, but it'll be good either way to see.
Yeah. I think, you know, I could go off of, logic, vibe, but no. I'm gonna go purely vibe space. Reserve utterly disrespected Norm at the close of the semifinal matchup. I'm rooting for Hammerheads all the way. I want to see them win. I want to see Joe Papa win. I want to see him stick it to the Epic Division, silence all the haters, and win out a tournament and not lose twice in a row in the finals. Because if you lose twice in a row in the finals, man, you're gonna the allegations are just gonna plague you no matter how deep Hammerheads run in the postseason this season. And I have no doubt that we will see both of these teams in the postseason if they perform the way they have been performing in the preseason or throughout the regular season. And I think these two might see each other again in the postseason. Unfortunately, they're not scheduled to meet in the regular season, but if we get to see these two teams play again, um, that just this game just has that feeling that's gonna be a good one. So I'm gonna take the Hammerheads. I'm hoping they put on a not a stomping, but a showcase that leaves no doubt that they were the better team, like a 4-2 with some solid wins.
Yeah. I that definitely could be the case, you know? You mentioned stomping, and I mean, this preseason tournament has had it all. I think in our, like, semifinals match, we had pretty much almost every series go to, like, a best game 5 and a best of 5, or well, in our quarterfinals, that was the case, and then our semifinals was kind of the complete opposite. It was 2 3-0 sweeps from both Rangers over their opponents and Hammerheads over their opponents. So it's definitely interesting, kind of the opposite, seeing that as the tournament went on, series almost kind of went more lopsided. So hopefully we get a good series tonight, but should be good even if it is a sweep. Whether it goes to 7, it'll be fun.
Yeah, the quarterfinal matchup, all the series went to 5 except for Armada Sappers, where Armada just kind of took over. But then the semifinals were both 3-0 sweeps. So, Hammerheads and Rangers both showing a lot of strength going into this finals, but they're not incapable. They can make some mistakes. Norm did mention how he kind of edged out against the Mustangs. That was a close game. So, it's not over. It's not gonna be it's not gonna be necessarily one team's definitely better. It's gonna be, like I said earlier, who's better on the day. And yeah, so we're just waiting on people joining the lobby. It seems like we've got the Rangers now joining us, like Niner and Waffles, waiting on the Hammerheads, and the third from the Rangers.
Yeah, it looks
We've
like we are gonna potentially see Mr. Rebel to start out this series. The Rangers have done this a couple times, and then they might switch out to Artemis later on in the series, so it'll be interesting to see if when they make that change, if they make that change, but definitely brings in some tactics. On the side of Hammerheads, I don't think we've really seen them sub as much throughout this preseason tournament. They have Itzos as kind of their fourth man, but they've normally been running a lineup between Joe Papa, Longneck, and Norm, which I mean has obviously proven pretty well for them so far. So we'll see if they can keep it going, if Rangers maybe see something and go for a tactical switch, or maybe if they got it rolling, they keep it going. But definitely always a good thing to potentially have that backup, but at the same time, if you're making changes, it can kind of ruin that chemistry at the same time. So you might get in a groove with one guy or get out of it, groove in another guy, and then by that time maybe you're down in the series and you're trying to fight back with perhaps the person you should have had in. But it's always interesting running a four-man roster and a three-man game.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the one thing that Hammerheads doesn't necessarily have as much flexibility with. Joe Papa must play in order for Hammerheads to field the legal roster. So, I mentioned this before in with regards to Mimsy. If if they underperform, if your low rate player underperforms, then that's really tough to come back from. You can switch as much as you want, but if Joe Papa does not have a good game, it's going to be a long night for the Hammerheads. But that night is just about to begin. Everybody is in the lobby ready to go. On the side of the Hammerheads, we've got Joe Papa, Longneck, Norm, as mentioned before. They really like that. They really like that setup. They really like that roster. But we are now live in Driftwood Nights for Game 1 of the preseason final.
Yeah, enough yapping. We're finally getting into the action as Waffles is going to take it up, but quickly saved away by Longneck. Rangers starting out with the first kind of opportunity. Hammerheads are doing a decent job of getting it out of defense, though. But, I mean, Rangers continuing that pressure. A little double commit there on the side of Hammerheads, but should be easily cleared away by Waffles as Norm goes up for that 50, pretty quick to it. That's one thing you'll notice about Norm. He is pretty good at being quick to those balls, those mid plays. He'll be able to challenge, close the gaps quickly, and beat you out a couple times if you're not careful to it.
Joe Papa trying to take it around Niner, not there, but Niner misdirect on the clear, drops it right in front of Longneck, who's gonna fire in the first goal. 1-0 Hammerheads, 4:16 to play. That's just one where you're worried about the first man and you don't see the second. A, a gaff from Niner that's not common, and we're gonna hope to see that Niner doesn't make more of those, but I highly doubt he will.
Yeah, that was a beautiful play from Joe. He was the first man there you were talking about, and I mean, as your lowest rated player, kind of forcing the other team's highest rated player to kind of make the mistake there. I mean, can't ask for much more. So Joe looking pretty good to start this series as they got a lead for now, and Hammerhead's taking some control of it. Gets past one challenger, Norm on the back wall, defending Niners. Touch up, and Hammerheads are getting back on the pressure. I think Hammerheads have kind of had the ball in their own half for most of this game, but they haven't really looked too stressed out. I mean, they've got the lead. They've made some pretty simple clears. Hammerheads have just done a good job of getting that one counterattack and it going in.
Yeah, ball spent a lot of time in the Hammerheads have, but Hammerheads have a lot of touches in their half too. Not necessarily that there's a lot of offensive control, but Niner trying to create some. Joe Papa with the clear, but Mr. Rebel's going to pick that back up, go for the center for Waffles, which is not going to be there. It's cleared by Norm, who's going to bring in a Longneck, who just misses the midair redirect. Norm with a follow-up, but Niner with the save.
Yeah, Niner coming up huge there. starting to get his warm up in, maybe after perhaps a bit of a rough touch on that first goal, but they'll settle into the series, and there's still plenty of time left in the series and this game. We're about halfway through game one here as Longneck's taking it up, but challenged by Niner. Joe pops it middle, perhaps a bit of a double commit on the side of Rangers, but it does get the job done with the clear as Hammerheads are now back on the counterattack, but nothing too controlled as Waffles does miss that one just barely. But Rangers are putting the chemistry, they're showing off their chemistry, they're putting on the pressure as Rebel flicks it, but no opportunity quite yet for him.
One costly mistake divides these teams as Niner with an amazing opportunity that Norm shuts down. But Rangers are back with it. Niner with a double touch attempt.
Ooh.
Can't quite get it on target. Waffles there with a good demo, leaving the net wide open. But Longneck now taking it into their hands, trying to create some offense. But Niner goes up with it, dives, and he gets there on a good 50 right in front of the Hammerheads net. Just not enough to get the clear on it by Longneck. Niner gets his nose on it, directs it into the net. It is 1-1 with 137 to play.
Yeah, Niner kind of just landing on the ball there. You saw him go for the flip reset. I don't know if maybe he got it, maybe he didn't, but either way, he kind of went the route of just playing the 50, and he just sits on Longneck, basically dunks it in the goal, ties up this game. But I mean, we talked about Niner making that kind of poor clear on that first goal, costing him, but he's still been going for some stuff, get some good opportunities, and he's scoring their one goal. I mean, that's what you like to see out of your kind of highest rated player. You don't want him to be scared. You don't want him to be afraid of kind of going on the attack, staying shy. You want him to keep playing aggressive and having confidence.
Yeah, from that mistaken clear, Niner has managed to pick up a save here, so definitely has solved his defensive lapse relatively short order. But Hammerhead's on the offense here. Norm going to try something, but Waffles is going to take care of that to Rebel, who's going to direct that to Waffles again. But Longneck's there, but the ball's still in the dangerous area that Norm's got to take care of. Norm attempting to do something, but Rebel to Waffles and pressure back on the Hammerheads, but they're going to get it cleared. Rebel now taking over with 20 seconds to go, putting it back in the Hammerheads half. Norm kind of a little bit awkward in the corner, but Joe Papa's going to be with the clear. Niner taking it back, can't get out of this offensive zone. Longneck trying to get it out, but Rebel's going to keep it. Floats it for the net. Waffles for the centering attempt with Niner with zeros on the clock. Can he get there? No! Rebel with a shot, but it goes to overtime.
I mean, we've had a lot of series this preseason tournament where the game one is just a complete blowout. However, this game one is already going into overtime, so we could be in for a long series, and kind of just showing that these two teams definitely are pretty close, evenly matched, at least so far. We'll see how the rest of the series plays out as Waffle gets a nice dunk, almost an opportunity there. But Rangers had a bit of pressure towards the end of there, almost got the 0-second goal. Hammerheads kind of kept it alive for a second with the clear, but nothing came of it too much. As that's going to bang off the backboard, but Norm gets a nice read off it. As it cleared out, can Joe hit the long shot? Gets a bit of power, but Rebel is there. But Hammerheads are keeping up the pressure as Rangers kind of just clear it, but Hammerheads are going to be able to recycle it and go back on the attack.
Yeah, it kind of feels like Clears is just dumping it to the other team and kind of resetting, but that is a costly mistake by the Hammerheads. Ball gets robbed from them by Waffles with a good 50. Niner just taps it into the open net. 2-1 Rangers win game one.
Yeah, you kind of saw everybody on the side of Hammerheads pushed up. Norm was jumping, Joe Papa was up as well. I think it was a bit of a 50 from Joe, kind of just went their side, and Norm's floating. Nobody's really back yet. So, I mean, Hammerheads not really a great commit on offense there, but Rangers get away with it. They get the 50, and they get a pretty free goal at the end of it.
Yeah, this game's just been, you know, a very few number of costly mistakes. Only 3 goals, but plenty of shots on both sides. Niner with 6 shots total. Waffles and Mr. Rebel coming up with 3 as well, or 2 from Waffles, 1 with Mr. Rebel. We have just seen Long Neck leave the match, so we're waiting on either a sub or Long Neck to return. But not again. Niner with a mistake early on. We didn't see that happen again. Niner did not let that happen. So you know, it's all about who's going to make fewer mistakes. And, a couple costly 50s on the side of Hammerheads is all it did. And we are going to see its SOS take or its OS take over for Long Neck in match 1 for game 2.
Yeah, Hammerheads coming in with the sub. It was a pretty close game 1, but I mean, apparently they think they can improve or maybe just get a different style of gameplay at least, see if that works. As Niner's going to take this up, should be a good look, but it's Sauce already with a great save. Maybe making it a right choice, but Waffles gets the clear, hits it off the wall, and is able to finish it home for a quick 1-0, just 16 seconds into this game too.
Yeah, we mentioned Joe Papa. He's got to perform well, and you got to do a little bit more than that, buddy. You can't get caught putting on the reverse lights in front of your own net. That was peak awkwardness. He was effectively a traffic cone, but, you know, it's a long series. You've got time. Just, you don't have as much time as you think, though, because as soon as you kind of just keep going, GG goes next, all of a sudden it's 3-0, and you're kind of got to backpedal, but, still, we got a lot of Rocket League left to play. It's us trying to get a center. Niner hitting the crossbar. It's us bailed out of that one, but Hammerhead still in hot water.
Yeah, Rangers got a lot of pressure this game as Niner is immediately going to put one in right after we say that. Just a little bit of a lax touch from Norm. Nobody on the side of Hammerheads with really too much boost, and you can see that from Itsauce. Went up for the ball, but I mean, just on low boost, wasn't quite able to get the save. We got a 2-0 game in game 2 in the first minute, which is already more goals than Hammerheads scored in game 1. So Hammerheads will need to be able to make some sort of kind of counterplay to the Rangers' just offensive pressure. But it's a long series, We had previously best of 5s all series, and this one is a best of 7, so teams can kind of strategize a bit more mid-series, get their flow going, see what they, visualize from the game and kind of strategize from there, make their changes. Hammerheads already with the roster swap. And while Itsauce has been playing well, the game just hasn't really gone their way yet. Is that one almost another one, but Niner's going to push it off the post, and a counterattack is going to be free for the Hammerheads as Norm puts that one in and makes it a 2-1 game.
And Norm exploiting the very deep offensive pressure of the Rangers, leaving their net a little bit open. Was not a powerful shot by any stretch of the imagination, but just quick enough where Waffles can't do anything. Hammerheads are still down, but some life. What kind of alarms me is this change has to bear fruit, because that was their one change the Hammerheads could make. I mean, you're probably not going to sub out Norm. You could, but I don't see that really happening. And Joe Papa can't go anywhere. Otherwise, the roster is over the cap. So Joe Papa trying to double touch, can't quite get it, but Norm with a follow-up gets cleared away. Norm keeping it alive, going for a shot on 0 boost, can't quite do it. It's Sauce going to take it to the corner, trying for a centering attempt. It goes nowhere, and Niner with the clear.
Yeah, Hammerheads have had most of kind of the defense as Norm almost puts away the double tap. Anybody there for the finish? Itsauce puts it on, but Niner for the save. Joe's keeping the pressure on. Can he finish the double? Cleared away from Niner, but Hammerheads are not letting go of this pressure, as that one might just find its way into the net. Norm off the post to the other post to the team pitch off their own crossbar. Rangers get away with that one as Hammerheads I mean, that seemed like their real first kind of aggression this game. It was good play from them. Real first opportunity. I mean, so far this game, Rangers has looked like the team keeping the offensive pressure, and Hammerheads got their one goal off a counterattack after they missed it. But it's us now going to tie it up for the Hammerheads after he breaks through. Perhaps a bit of a lax touch from Rebel, and Niner just caught off in a bit of an awkward position. That's a great finish and ties up the game for the Hammerheads, coming back from down 0-2.
Yeah, my worries about the change having to bear fruit. It now has this sauce with a goal. 2-2. You know, it's going to be looking like Norm was going to be haunted by those crossbar and post hits, but he's trying to make that
Oh,
happen. Can't finish it himself, but it's us with the follow through is going to make it 3-2. This was all Norm creating this, and it's us winning the foot race against Waffles. And all of us on, blink of an eye, Hammerheads are 3-2 up and in control of this game.
yeah. I mean, we saw Rangers go up 2-0 in the first minute. You were wondering if their Hammerheads were going to be able to stop the bleeding a bit, or if this was just going to be an onslaught. As that one is going to be a pinch into the own net of the Hammerheads, and we got a tie game here. A bit of an unfortunate 50 just finds its way back. Nobody really there yet. Norm doesn't quite get a good enough 50 to keep it away. And I mean, we got a tie game here, the minute 19 on the clock. Been a very back and forth game after that start. Just a couple odd goals here and there, but that's a great pass to Waffles, not quite able to reach it from Niner. But they got the pressure still going on. We got a minute left in this game too. Be interesting to see if we get another overtime or if somebody's going to be able to close it out before then.
Exactly. Waffles is going to pitch it up for himself, and he's going to make it 4-3. Nobody challenging that on the side of Hammerheads, and Waffles makes them pay. It's probably the longest double touch attempt. He launched that from his own half. And it's 4-3, and I'm not quite sure I like the Hammerheads defensively here. They're feeling a little bit flat, especially on the side of Joe Papa, playing a little bit too high up for kind of this comparative lack of speed compared to the rest of the lobby. It's something that he's probably going to work on all season, but you gotta fix it relatively quickly in this series. But Joe Papa is going to take it. 30 seconds to go. 4-3 Rangers. Uh, Waffles attempting to make something of it, can't quite do anything. Joe Papa with the 50 to It's Sauce, clears it. Niner with the touch to the corner. No, It's Sauce going for the cross. Norm can't get to it. Joe Papa's the only one back, but It's Sauce is going to get back as well. Niner attempting to ice the game, can't quite do it. 3 seconds to go. It's Sauce with a touch that misses. Norm gets to it just as the clock hits 0 with an air dribble. Can't do it. Joe Papa not there. It's Sauce can't get to it. 3-2 Rangers.
Two very close games, but they both go on the side of Rangers. Rangers taking the series 2-0 at the moment. You just saw the sub from Hammerheads last game. Kind of wonder what they're going to go for this game. If they're going to keep It's Us, maybe try to get a flow going or put Longneck back in. Both very close games so far. We saw a couple goals from Rangers there that kind of almost seemed like some perhaps mistakes on the side of Hammerheads just being caught out with low boost. We saw that backboard double tap from Waffles. Like you mentioned, it was a long one, so they definitely had the time to go for it, but nobody really with boost there. They were in position, but they just couldn't get up to the ball in time, and Rangers were able to punish that. There was another goal like that. Rangers also had another opportunity earlier, but they just cleared it off the side of the post. And that's how Hammerheads got their first goal in this comeback that they kind of had going for a bit, but didn't end up closing fully. But again, just seeing some mistakes from teams being punished, and that's kind of leading to most of the goals we've seen so far.
As I mentioned, Norm might regret that crossbar hit and that post hit, and that's all it took. I mean, if one of those goes in, that game goes to overtime. But can't think of that now as we enter Game 3. 2-0 lead in the series by Rangers. And let's see if Hammerheads can recover here or if history will repeat itself. Joe Papa on the touch after the kickoff, can't quite get to a follow-up. Norm's going to take it over in his half with a dribble. Waffles clears it to the corner, going for a centering attempt, but it's us with the clear that's going to come right back to him. Joe Papa booms it to Rebel, who's going to try to get the pass to Niner, who's going to get there but can't get the follow-up in the corner. But Waffles is there for the follow-through, and Joe Papa with a pretty good save facing backwards. Waffles to take it from here.
Yeah, we mentioned Rangers are up 2-0 in the series, but it's been a very close 2-0. Got overtime game 1 and a late goal that won it for the Rangers in game 2. I mean, just one goal, one play, even go on the side of Hammerheads, and we could have a completely different series. But right now, they are the team needing to make the comeback in the series. But just because you need to make the comeback in the series doesn't mean you need to make the comeback in the game. You know, it's still a tie game. You got to keep remembering that. Take it one game at a time. It's a long series, best of 7. So they have time as Itsauce is going to put in a nice angle off a read and gives the Hammerheads the lead. And it's nice to see Hammerheads in front for once. They had the lead, I think, for just a few seconds in game 2, but they ended up losing that one. But we'll see if they can keep the pressure on, keep the lead, and if they lock it down or keep going aggressive.
Speaking of aggressive, Itsauce with a potential kickoff goal stopped by Rebel, but ball's still in the half of Rangers. Norm with a centering attempt that can't go. Itsauce is going to have a minor corner push here, but a little bit awkward on the back wall. Waffles will take it over, but Norm's going to be there with the wall pinch. It's going to lob it over. Niner can't clear it, and Joe Papa with his first goal of the series brings a Hammerheads lead to 2.
Yeah, a bit of an awkward chow from Rebel. Niners scrambling to get back, not quite there in time. Joe's quick to the ball and gets the dunk in. A 2-0 lead now, I believe it's the biggest lead we've seen for Hammerheads this series. So maybe they're getting some momentum. Maybe keeping a player in between game 2 and game 3 allows that chemistry to kind of flow. As an awkward clear goes across the net, almost an own goal, but works out for them. As Itsauce is quick up to the ball. As they're getting the pressure, a demo on the side of Hammerheads gives Rangers a good opportunity, though. It's kind of just been sitting in this corner as a 50-50 fest. Everybody's not wanting to give up an inch and not really wanting to fully commit to something. As Norm goes for the reset, gets it, but doesn't get quite the scoring opportunity, but he keeps it going. But his teammates are there to quickly pick up the pace, and now we're getting some heavy touches as Joe kind of just lobs it towards the backboard.
Yeah, that centering attempt goes nowhere as Norm on the follow-up loses the 50-50. Ball's back in the Hammerheads half for only a little bit because Norm's going to take it to the Rangers. Lose out to Niner, who's going to try an air dribble, but blocked by Itsauce. Going to get lobbed back in. Little bit of boom ball being played. Waffles now is going to lob it. It's a jump ball that Itsauce is going to win to Joe Papa, who's going to lob it to Mr. Rebel. Norm grabs the boost and goes back. Rebel once again with the touch, but Itsauce going to clear it to the sidewall. Itsauce trying to make something happen. Waffles is there. Norm with the clear. Niner steals the ball away. Ball still in the Hammerheads half. A little bit more pressure. Itsauce with a clear and a goal from 50 miles up and 50 miles out. Just off the ceiling and exploiting the open net. 3-0 Hammerheads. This is the largest lead in this series thus far.
Yeah, between any team, and I mean, definitely Hammerheads. They're kind of chasing a bit in game 1 and chasing a bit in game 2 for the most part, but now they got a commanding 3-0 lead. Gotta imagine they can keep it, as this one might be 4-0, as Itsauce just barely gonna put it off the post. But no worries at all, as the Rangers are going to help him out. We do get a bit of an own goal off an unfortunate read from Rebel. Definitely tough, but you know what? We did get an own goal this series. It's always fantastic seeing one of those. Maybe not if you're the team own goaling, but it's definitely entertainment value for the rest of us.
Yeah, Rebel realizing a little bit too late that that was going to bounce out and kind of committed the wrong direction. I think it's kind of better in that situation to hold your hands up and be like, if it goes in, it goes in. If not, oh well. But, kind of finishing the job there. Otherwise, it's Sus would have left the door open for a counterattack, but now it's 4-0, and this game might be a little bit out of hand for the Rangers. Norm clearing this away. Niner there. Got a lot of ground to make up. Let's see what he can do. Uh, can't quite get it out of the corner. Norm again with a clear, but goes across to the other side. It's Sauce going to get it out of the Hammerheads half. Rebel with a whiff. Niner with the attempt to clear. Norm going to center it. Waffles gets it away.
The Hammerheads have just had all the pressure this game. I mean, they've scored 4-0. It's not even letting one in. We saw 2 goals in game 1 from the Rangers, 3 goals or 4 goals in game 2 from them to win it, and just a shutout against them this game. Seems like staying with the lineup between game 2 and game 3, maybe you're allowed to kind of build up a bit more chemistry. It's us get a bit more warmed up, flow with the team. As I mean, just a commanding game 3 win is Hammerheads really needed this. They didn't want to go down 3-0 in the series, and instead they kind of proved that they still have this pressure and this opportunity. It'll be interesting to see how the momentum shifts for this next game going in, if Rangers decide to switch it up yet, or maybe see if they go down 2 or go down in the series. It looks like we are going to get a sub. I imagine we just saw Rebel leave the lobby, so probably Artemis is coming in, unless Waffles is coming back. But you can see from the scoreboard there, it's Sauce with a hat trick of his own, Joe Papa with a goal, and Norm getting 3 assists. Everybody doing their part, everybody helping out. And I mean, just a solid win for the Hammerheads, and not really too much pressure, as the side of the Rangers, just players with under 100 points is never really a good sign. But I mean, it's going to happen if you don't really have any goals the whole game.
Yeah, statement made by the Hammerheads, no doubt, not only with a shutout, but a commanding win. The largest deficit in this series, it was when it was 3-0. 4-0 was that extra assurance. Joe Papa with a goal. It's us proving that it was a good idea to keep him in game 3, putting up a hat trick. I think getting Artemis in for Rebel, probably the right call. You don't know where his mental is after that own goal, after that 4-0. We can only speculate, but Artemis does have that same capability of its sauce and long neck to kind of take over a game a little bit. I think a little bit more than Mr. Rebel can. So I think getting a little bit of a breath of fresh air. Don't wait until the series is tied. You're still in a good spot, in a commanding spot in this series. Try to re-seize the initiative, because the next game you win, it's game point.
Yeah, you can kind of see how the Rangers are feeling with Artemis in the lineup. Mr. Rebel didn't play bad at all, but they lost the game as Artemis, the sub 4 Rebel, is immediately going to show why he got put in, as he gets the first opening goal here on the side of Rangers. I mean, with the sub, you kind of see that they feel perhaps more confident, a bit more chemistry with Artemis. It's just a solid roster overall. It's a roster they've gone to so far this preseason tournament that has helped them win the series, make comebacks if they ever did get down. Kind of their secret weapon they're hiding back. It'll be interesting to see how that goes for the regular season, as that's just going to bounce crossbar and post off the shot. At a double whiff from Hammerheads, but nobody on the side of Rangers to really punish it, so they're going to get away with that. It's kind of just stagnant in the midfield right now, as Rangers just getting a bit of pressure, but nothing too serious. As still got their 1-0 lead, but nothing on the side of either team since then.
Yeah, if it's a whiff that's so bad that everybody was expecting you to make it, it's a bad whiff. But it's us making up for it by bringing us level to 1-1. The subs really showing their impact early. Artemis immediately stepping up with a goal after really putting a clamp on the Hammerheads, and then this follow up by Itzos. You know, Sometimes you do got to make those tweaks, you got to make those changes. Artemis now gonna try to make it two, and he's gonna almost do it. Itzos is gonna prevent Artemis from getting the goal, but Niner is there on the follow up. Like I said, Niner scoring this, but also he had a close miss bar post. Is it going to be a similar situation to Norm where he comes to regret not getting that goal?
Yeah, we've seen Itzos play pretty well this game. Had that one whiff nobody was expecting, didn't get quite punished for that. Ended up getting a goal himself. On that shot there for the Rangers, kind of expected Itzos to get the save there, but it looks like he just got a bit hung up on the post. And he just kind of gets the very light touch, nothing too much of a clear. But, I mean, they're going to find themselves down 2-1 this game. Plenty of time, 3 minutes to go in this game game 4. I'm lost in the series. Game 4 here, as Rangers do have the lead in the series, 2-1 currently. Hammerheads are going to certainly want to keep up that pressure from Game 3. We'll see if Rangers can keep their foot on the gas.
Yeah, we will have some technical difficulties at this point in moving forward with the series score on the stream, ladies and gentlemen. So sit tight. We will constantly be reminding you of the series score as it becomes more and more relevant as we get later and later into this series. Joe Papa now, awkward touch, and Niner's gonna boot us out the way, but Norm's there to bail the Hammerheads out. Artemis with a centering attempt, but it's going to go off the corner of the wall and bounce down harmlessly. Waffle's going to keep the offensive pressure alive for Rangers, but Itzos going to go for the clear. Second touch, no. Niner going to clear it, but Norm going to get it out of there. And with a second touch, and Artemis can't get to it. Another high shot from about midfield, this time Norm. Niner this time a little bit closer, but still it goes in, and this is 2-2 now.
Yeah, beautiful long shot from Norm there off the crossbar and down. Artemis just not quite able to get it. Do have ourselves a tie series here, and if Hammerheads managed to win this game, or we have a tie game here, and if Hammerheads managed to win this game, it'll be a tie series as well. As Norm's a bit awkward off the back, while Joe doesn't read it quite, but ends up being a counterattack. Itzos clears away, but nothing quite coming out of that as Artemis picks up a demo on him. And one thing to note is we haven't really seen a ton of demos so far this series. Both teams opting to not go for that aggressive play, maybe a bit safer on their plays. Nothing really too risk advert, maybe they don't want to go for it. Maybe they don't want to see what happens. Can definitely lead to some opportunities, clear some pressure, but no demos too heavy this game as Joe Pop but gets a nice 50 that clears to the side of the Rangers. We'll see if they get it. A bit of a whiff and a fake out between Artemis and Joe. As Hammerhead's got some pressure here as Norm's keeping it in. 50 seconds left in this game 4.
Yeah, these demos, not really relying on demos either of these teams. Niner knocks it to the side a little bit. Norm's going to make sure that it goes all the way to the side. Artemis tries to get it center, and Joe Papa get a little bit of a mistouch, but Norm's going to bail him out. Joe Papa on the back wall shuts down Waffles. Artemis with a whiff. Niner's going to be back, so no harm, no foul, but 30 seconds left, and Niner starting from his own back wall. Gets it to the half, but Norm's going to bring it back to the Rangers side. Waffles mistouch. Norm just puts it wide. Niner going to take it over. Joe Papa with a touch, and he misses. Itzos misses. Norm makes it, and ball's heading towards this Rangers goal. Waffles with a touch, and for the second game in this series, we're going to overtime.
Yeah, it's been a great series so far. Very close games. We did see there a bit through as Norm shuts me up, gets the double tap right off the kickoff. He puts it away, gets the win for the Hammerheads off a beautiful just kickoff win. He's there first to the ball, first to the boost, and he gets it to go as Hammerheads take the game and tie the series at 2 apiece. Now we're just in a best of 3, basically. So, I mean, great comeback games from the Hammerheads. They lost the first 2 games, won game 3 in commanding fashion. Game 4, definitely closer, but they pull it out. I mean, series been back and forth so far. It's kind of what you'd expect from these teams. They both made it to the finals, showing that they kind of earned their right to be here, beating the other teams. We've got a great series going on.
Yeah, 2-2 overtime, leading to a 2-2 in the series. Kind of getting robbed a little bit of a long overtime. Both of our overtimes, first match overtime in game one, not that long, about 30 seconds. This one was about 5 seconds, so 5 seconds later from being a kickoff goal. But you know, Rebel is now coming in for Waffles, so another change on the side of the Rangers. And I mentioned Niner maybe regretting that miss, and it turns out it came to fruition. And so far, the tale of the tape has been that team, believe it or not, that team that makes the most mistakes loses the game. And not necessarily just defensive lapses, just missing those key opportunities on offense. Goals are not that frequent. The most amount of goals that have been scored by one team has been that 4-0 win by Hammerheads. Every other lead 2-1, 3-2, another 3-2. You really gotta capitalize on those opportunities when you get them, on those goals, all those chances. But game 5, it's sauce to Norm. Norm just getting it a little bit wide. Joe Papa's gonna touch this around, and if he didn't bump his teammate,
Oh, oh,
maybe that's a
oh,
goal. But
oh,
Norm trying to
oh,
capitalize.
oh.
Niner with the missed touch, and it's us with the finish. What was that?
We just see a bit of ping ponging around the Rangers net between Hammerheads, between Rangers, back to Hammerheads, back to Rangers and Hammerheads again. Finish it off as nobody on the side of Rangers quite able to get the clear out there. And I do want to point out, we see Waffles subbing himself out for Rebel, which is definitely interesting. I don't think I've seen this too much in the preseason tournament out of them running this lineup, as normally Waffles and is going to play the game and it'll be Artemis and Rebel kind of subbing themselves for each other. But Joe Papa with the beautiful hit off the back wall, nobody quite there to read it, and Norm able to put it away. Gives him Hammerheads a 2-0 lead to start this game.
Yeah, big point on Waffles. I felt like Waffles was really strong defensively, and like had their missteps, had their like miscues, but whenever someone was back, it was either Niner or Waffles. I feel like Artemis is very prone to wanting to go up on the attack, and Rebel as well. So we will see if the defensive woes that the Hammerheads have been able to exploit up to this point continue on the side of Rangers. Right now, ball in the Rangers half. Niner trying to get it out. It's Sauce trying to clear it, but gets brought back only temporarily though, as Norm's gonna bring that back to the Rangers half once again.
Yeah, I mean, Hammerheads have the lead so far this game, and they've had most of the pressure. We've seen a couple of double commits actually between Norm and Itzos, but it hasn't really hurt them too much so far, as Rangers haven't been able to capitalize on it. But Itzos going on the offensive here, cleared away by the Rangers. Just over Artemis, Itzos is going to get the hit, but gets demoed for his trouble. Rebel there to clear it away. Joe Papa now leaves it for Itzos. Good leave. Gets the Hammerheads their kind of counterattack, counterplay. Niner up for the shot, but shut down by Norm. And I mean, we just haven't seen much offense out of Rangers this game. It's been pretty much in their half, and the times that they do go on offense, it hasn't been too advantageous as that one gets a good clear off a backboard read from Niner, but just shut down again, and Rangers just staying in their net, just trying to get some clears. You wonder if the Hammerheads are going to be able to keep up the pressure, suck them a boost, and just get the goal eventually.
It's 2 minutes to go, 2-0 Hammerheads, 2-2 series tied, and it's been all Hammerheads this matchup. Artemis attempting a center, can't quite get there. Rebel's going to keep it in. It's us going to try to get it out once again. Norm will get the follow-up touch that will get it to the Rangers half, but he's going to leave it for Niner to bring it back. It's us off the wall, going to get the touch. Rebel there up in the wall to meet them. And Joe Papa
Joe.
exploiting a lackadaisical defensive attempt by Rebel there. He was just out of boost. That's just unfortunate as Joe Papa, a little bit out of sync with his team all game, but getting his piece on the scoreboard every now and then. Oh, and it's us gonna make it 4 off the kickoff. What
Yeah,
happened? This is
yeah, just
not the same team we've seen in game 1 and game 2. I mean, the manpower, like you could note maybe the substitutions, but it felt like just there's no teeth. There's no fight. This is the same, like this is the same Rangers squad we saw in this game 3 when it was all offense
ooh.
on the side of Hammerheads. Niners gonna fight that narrative though, make it 4-1.
Yeah, great shot from Niner. Gets the angle. Has it sauce. Kind of hoping he doesn't quite get that on target, but Niner able to punish it and kind of just needing more of that. Perhaps Niners just been stuck in his own half this game, though, with the rest of the Rangers squad. As Hammerhead's got most of the pressure. Niners going to make it 2 goals here off a beautiful double tap. Give some life, but I mean, you're still down 2 with a minute in the game. Niners doing great, but you just need a bit more of a team effort or just a little bit too late in the game. Still plenty of time. The comeback is definitely on. We'll be able to see how this pressure plays out as Niners been getting some momentum his way. And we'll see if he goes for a third one here. Gets the demo, but nobody quite there to clear it in.
Demo good in theory, but kind of masked the ball a little bit, causing a little bit of a miss from Rebel, I believe. But 50 seconds to go. One more goal is necessary if we want to call this a comeback. Norm's going to stop that by keeping it in the Rangers half. Niner and Artemis with a miscommunication, both going up for the ball, but somehow it's still Rangers' way. Norm's going to touch it, though, and Artemis is going to get it out. But Joe Papa's going to keep it in, and Rangers got to get moving here. 25 seconds to go. Rebel gets stuffed by Norm, who's going to center it. Oh, maybe not with a flip
Ooh.
reset. Makes it 5-2. 90% of the time there, someone goes up on that back wall, tries to get it centered, but Norm's decided that that hasn't been productive enough. So he's going to take it on his own and ice the game. 5-2 Ranger, or 5-2 for the Hammerheads. Rangers without an answer.
Yeah, beautiful goal from Norm. Gets the reset, and you just see the Rangers are just stuck in a hard place because they can't really go yet. They got to wait for Norm to use his reset, and he places it beautifully. And as Rangers take this L here, they are fighting against match point. Hammerheads up in the series right now, 3-2. This could be our last game as we're going into game 6 here. And I was wondering what we'll see. Rangers are going to make a substitution. They've made substitution every single loss this series. So this is the lineup I'm very interested to see. Do or die, game on the line. Who are you playing? It looks like he's playing Artemis off the bench, and it's going to be Niner, Rebel, and Waffles as the lineup as they're fighting for their championship lives here.
Yeah, I don't know how much I like this rotation of just like constantly cycling players on a loss. You still want to get comfortable, but um to the Rangers defense, this is probably the move I would have made. Rebel, Niner, and Waffles was the roster on those match one and match two, and now you're at the point where it's either win or go home. So, you know, bringing back the roster you had some success with, hopefully that's gonna yield a little bit of success. You gotta think though, if you're gonna sub every loss, this is definitely the strategy of the Rangers, and so far that has not been paying off. So maybe is it a little bit of an admission, or maybe back to what's been working? We are yet to see, but this squad on on the side of Rangers is was won 2 games with losing one. So we are in do or die game 6. Norm with an attempt. Can't get it out of his offensive half into the offensive half. It's Sauce gonna go with the clear. Has been performing amazingly since subbing in for game 1. Uh, Ball goes into the Rangers half, and Norm's gonna try to center it, but it's Sauce gonna get a 50, but Rebels there.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing Waffles come back in. He gets a touch right there. You almost wonder with all the substituting back and forth between each games if it's hard to kind of get back into the swing of things as you're playing a game and then you're sitting out a game and then just trying to jump right back into the action. It'd be a bit jarring kind of just dealing with that. Maybe the substitutions are the play, but Waffles is going to show no sign of that problem here as he puts it away. A little bit of a loose touch from Norm, kind of over Joe, not quite able to control it as the Hammerheads are going to just get punished for it. Niner with some good pressure and Waffles able to put it away.
Yeah, we saw in game 1 Niner having a costly defensive lapse, and we see Norm now having a costly defensive lapse of his own, but I highly doubt this is going to be a problem going forward, like with the Niner situation. He recovered very quickly and has been a very dominant force, but Norm not gonna fix his woes on defense before getting an offensive goal and erasing that lead that the Rangers had. You know, if you make a mistake on defense, go and score a goal. But a little bit note on the swapping. I feel like this is going to play more in effect, not necessarily on Waffles or Rebel or Niner or Waffles, Rebel or Artemis, but it's probably going to be play a little bit of havoc on Niner. You know, not necessarily knowing or not having that consistency between the teammates you're playing with and kind of trying to orchestrate team play. I mean, we've seen Niner have success, but a lot of that success has come from just taking the game into his own and, you know, generating offense and being that defensive final stand. But we'll wait to see. 1-1 with 3 minutes to go. Win or go home for the Rangers. Rebel, dangerous ball, but he is going to clear it to Waffles.
Yeah, Hammerhead's getting some counterattack here. Niners grabs the corner boost, should be able to control it a bit. Does, takes it to the side, gets it around the Hammerhead's offensive pressure. Nicely done to clear it out the pressure. Itzos is going to follow up though, and it's just some recycling offense on the side of Hammerheads, which is what you like to see if you're a Hammerhead fan, hoping they can close out the series here. But nothing too dangerous as Waffles almost gets a double top. A little bit of a double commit between Niner and Rebel leads to a team bump. Nothing comes of it as that Rangers opportunity as Hammerheads are able to gonna just clear it out, get their own setup, and Joe Papa's going up for the aerial. Nothing too much happening right now. Bit of back and forth play, nothing too threatening, but this game still got 2 minutes left. There's a bit of a 50 from Rebel, looks good, as it's just gonna end up back in the midfield. It's been for the past minute or so.
Yeah, I just do want to highlight Joe Papa kind of still going up in the air and still going for these balls. Even Joe Papa, the lowest rated player in the lobby, had a decent shot there. Waffles will clear it though. Joe Papa, we've seen, is kind of the first person to get called off. Whenever he goes for a ball, it feels like there's somebody else on the Hammerheads going with him. It doesn't feel like the team fully trusts him, but he's still going for stuff. He's still going in the air. He's still creating opportunities for Itzos, who's makes who makes it 2-1 for the Hammerheads. And now Rangers are looking down the barrel of their tournament life, but Joe Papa still going for stuff, still creating opportunities. And you know, maybe if your team doesn't necessarily trust you all the way, who cares? You're still performing. You're still doing what you need to do in order to win.
Yeah, Joe Papa's been playing a great series overall so far. And here we see Rangers kind of on the hot seat. I mean, it's either score a goal or you lose. There's no more chances. There's no more games. There's no more opportunities as Norm puts it away 3-1 on the side of Hammerheads. That could be it. That could be the finishing blow, giving Hammerheads the lead in game 6 here of this preseason tournament and potentially the Hammerheads champion for this QRLS preseason tournament.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the Rangers' strategy. They just not have looked as comfortable since that game one and game two. You know, they give up a in that game two, they gave up a lead. They were able to recover, but it still kind of did something to them. It kind of got them a little skittish. Now we have the opposite problem where it feels like they're trying to pressure, try to create a lot of offense, not quite working. They need to score a goal here, and this cannot give one up. Waffles trying to get it to Niner, who's going to get it up. Waffles not there. Norm gonna stop it and hang with the ball and bleed the clock. Hammerheads will not let history repeat itself. Preserving the lead, getting the win, getting the tournament win, and proving Reserve Wolf wrong. Hammerheads win 4-2, 3-1 this game.
Overall, great series, 6 games, and a lot of good close games in between, a couple overtimes. It's very interesting to note Hammerheads went down in that series 0-2 and then just won the next four to win the series. You know, we saw teams, both sides, try to make substitutions, and I think making substitutions just so much in between games can just find it hard to flow. We saw that even with the Hammerheads when they subbed in Itzos on that first game. They still lost that second game, just not quite being able to find their flow. And Rangers, they got their 2 games and they when they had kept a lineup going and able to find that flow and that chem, but ends up going Hammerhead's way as they are our QRLS preseason tournament champions. Overall, a great showing from Norm, Itzos, and Joe and Longneck in that game one, as we are joined here by Longneck from Hammerheads. Longneck, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. They played well. I only got to play one game, but you know what? They got it done. I was like, whoever's playing better today is gonna go in, and they got it done for us.
Yeah, that game one was still very close. Going into overtime, game one was always awesome to see. Were you still in the comms with your team as they kind of played throughout the series?
I sat in there. The first game, I felt like we could have won that game, or if I kept playing, we could have won. But I think it felt like Itsos had the better like play style to play against these guys. So we put him in, and it eventually worked out. We lost the first game with Itsos, but he just needed a game to get into the zone, and after that, they took over.
Yeah, definitely finding that flow with your teammates is always important. Getting used to it, maybe over a couple of games. You definitely played well, but what'd you see out of Hammerheads the first 2 games that you think they kind of switched up later on in the series, I guess, to be able to make that, I guess, win the
Uh,
next 4 after the first 2?
I believe that the other team's really good. We figured out, I don't know what we figured out. We just played them and eventually found their flow and just overtook what they were trying to do. Got them out of their game. After game three, we kind of got into it. I think that overtime loss in game four kind of took it out of them, and we just kept pummeling them, and they just couldn't get back into it.
Yeah, it felt like kind of after game two, there was some sort of switch, a little bit of competitiveness. There you did kind of come back, or your team came back, and then um, kind of lost it. Was that comeback in game two kind of like a moment where you are all kind of looking at each other and being like, okay, yeah, we've got these guys, we got this guy's number, even though you still lost that game? Or was the confidence really when you started winning game three, game four, game
I
five?
don't think our confidence ever wavered. To be honest, I felt like if I played, we would have won. I felt like if Itsos would have went in, we would have won. Personally, it just uh, if it does go right the first two games, you fix whatever went wrong and keep playing with confidence, and eventually it'll probably go right for you. And that's what happened tonight.
Yeah, and what does this win mean for is preseason? So not necessarily the highest of stakes, but what does this win mean for Joe Papa after being a part of the Hammerhead squad that lost in the postseason of season 10? Come here, win the preseason season 11. A little bit of bad vibes shaking off, maybe.
Well, I mean, I was a captain last season, and Joe Papa and his team to beat us right before I think playoff or the second round or third round. I can't remember, but hey, I said if you can't beat him, just join them. And uh, Joe Papa, he's he's a sleeper, man. Every time he gets on the field, I'm like, okay, and then he's just a defensive guy. He just fills in the gaps really well. Make sure that we're doing what we're doing, and he's going to do what he's supposed to do, and it just works out. And I believe that winning this series is going to give us a lot of momentum going into the beginning of the season, and we're going to try and take that on to week one and just keep going from there.
Yeah, you guys now, by winning the preseason, you are undoubtedly going to be the championship favorites heading into this regular season. How are you gonna manage it? How are you gonna keep your kind of keep your mental in check throughout this entire regular season? Because we got a lot of Rocket League left to play.
I believe that. I mean, we won the preseason tournament. That does not mean I think everybody else is going to keep getting better and better and better. We just got to keep our heads down, keep grinding the game away, and try and keep ahead of the pack. You're probably going to see some moves throughout the season that might make some other teams that we didn't see before grow into a team that can be scary. Uh, but as long as we can keep playing together, don't get too relaxed through the season. As a captain, I think that's what happened for my team. We got relaxed by the end of the season, and it usually, if you get too relaxed, by the time that playoffs come around, you will fall off a little bit, and then the team that has been fighting for that playoff spot will be in peak form and will be in the slump. So pretty much just keep your head down for the entire thing. Don't think you're the best team, and don't be cocky. Just keep the head down and keep grinding.
One final question from me: um, who was your player of the tournament? Either could be either somebody on this team, somebody on your opponent's team, or just anybody across the preseason tournament. Who surprised you the most?
Uh, I didn't really watch too many, but I guess I'll go with my teammate Norm. He's been a key piece for us. Of course, Joe Papa and Itsos, they're really good, but he's a key piece for us. He keeps everything. He keeps our mental pretty well, and every time he gets the ball, he's always going to be scary on the ball. And usually, if he's in the air, you got to be watching out for him. Uh, just every time he has the ball, I feel like he's going to score the ball or do something really well. I never have any confidence lacking whenever he's on defense or on offense. I'm usually pretty confident what he's going to do, and I try to feed off of it, as do my teammates.
Some awesome. Well, Cryptero, or sorry, Kiptero. Gotta keep
Yep.
correcting myself on that. Any final comments? Any final questions for Longneck?
It was definitely a close series there. One theme we kind of saw between a lot of the games was like most of the goals weren't necessarily coming off a huge outplay. There were definitely a couple of them, but a lot of it was just being able to punish the other team's mistakes. Were you guys game plan focused on just playing solid Rocket League and taking the opportunities when you get it, or were you guys focused on like trying to create your own opportunities?
I'm pretty sure like after my first game, the way we lost was just a one simple mistake in overtime. It sent us into, or I don't know if it was overtime, I forgot. But after that game, it was like, all right, we just need to play solid Rocket League, and whenever they have mistakes, take care of the rest, put the ball in the goal, and win the game. Keep it simple.
Yeah, definitely keeping it simple, making the smart plays. You guys did a good job of being able to punish them. Game one, very close. Game one and two were very close. I mentioned that, a player, a goal, even just a play, a moment goes the side of you guys. And I mean, that's a flip towards you. And found yourself down 2-0 in the series, but able to make the comeback. Very well played.
Appreciate it. They did good.
And we want to thank Longneck for joining us. We want to thank the rest of you for joining us on this lengthy best of seven series. We didn't quite make it all the way to seven, but Hammerheads winning in dominant fashion. Not dominant fashion. That's my fan bias coming out a little bit. Uh, in a assertive fashion, especially with a good 4-0 win there in game three. That's going to do it for us. Kip, it's been wonderful casting with you this preseason, and it's been a fun to get introduced to this uh, Quicksilver Rocket League series through an exciting preseason with ups, downs, and all over. But Hammerheads is your champions. But signing off for now, keep it quick.